Hey Spuds, it's Jamie, welcome back to another video, fast food on channel, I don't know, but welcome either way. I'm very glad to have you here, and today we are looking at transphobes and homophobes boycotting everything. Anything a rainbow touches, no, they cannot use or buy from that place or thing or something anymore. You might have seen some boycotting going around recently, particularly in light of Bud Light sponsoring a trans woman, Dylan Mulvaney. Her face was on a can, it was a whole thing, love it. Nike also sponsored Dylan Mulvaney. Love this for her, but there's also been a negative response to this one as well, with somebody even filming themselves burning their Nike sports bras. Just seems wasteful to me. You've already bought them, what's the point? But the funny thing is that Dylan has nearly 11 million TikTok followers at the time I'm making this video. That's a lot of people, and she has been sponsored by a lot of brands, okay? It's not just Bud Light and Nike. So if transphobes were to boycott every brand that had sponsored Dylan alone, just Dylan Mulvaney, there would be a hell of a list to go through, and that's not counting all of the other trans creators and LGBT plus creators who have been sponsored by brands. Many brands, okay? But the backlash towards the Bud Light sponsorship has been particularly strong and hateful and destructive and widespread, and just there's been a lot of hate towards Bud Light for their sponsorship of Dylan Mulvaney, and obviously a lot of hate towards Dylan herself as well. Very confusing. Like, people have filmed themselves pouring cans down the sink. Very dramatic. And then there's just a bunch of other videos of people pouring away their Bud Light, destroying it, doing something, like chucking it out, I don't know, just various different things of like, ew, Bud Light, because they sponsored a trans woman. Such a strange thing. And then other people have also joked that now drinking it makes you gay.
Hey babe, you want a beer?
Sure, yeah. Bud Light. You know they're talking shit about this on the internet. Oh my god. This ain't gonna work. I'm downloading Grindr.
I don't know how they made the leap of Bud Light sponsoring a trans woman to, oh, drinking it makes you gay. Different things. But Bud Light in the past have also shown support for the LGBT plus community more widely, so maybe that's what they're getting at. So obviously Boycott Bud Light was doing the rounds among transphobes and homophobes. And there are a lot of shitty tweets going on. I did a thing at Walmart today, hashtag new trend, hashtag first, hashtag trendsetter. They went around and they put Tampax boxes on Bud Light boxes. What do they think they were doing with that? What an interesting choice. And then somebody else also tweeted, Bud Light is clearly clueless about who their target audience is. And there was a lot going around about like, oh, Bud Light clearly don't know who their audience is, they're going against their core target audience, they're gonna go bust, they're going bankrupt, they've lost so many sales. Like, people were making a lot of claims that basically Bud Light had gone pfft in terms of sales. In reality, there's been no dramatic dip in sales or stock of Bud Light since they sponsored Dylan Mulvaney and since all of this happened. You know, they'll have lost a few phobic customers, but gained a ton of free advertising in the process. I mean, they've been trending for a while, so. As I mentioned, it's not just Bud Light in relation to Dylan specifically, but also Nike. They've just picked two random ones. There are a bunch of other ones they could have gone for, but no, Bud Light and Nike are the ones that they've chosen. With a lot of transphobic comments misgendering Dylan and just not being very nice. Also claiming that Dylan is taking away money and opportunities from real women, and just generally being mean. Like, that's just a horrible thing to say. No. In reality, Dylan is a woman who Nike sponsored to promote their new range of sports bras and sportswear aimed towards women or more femininely presenting people. In reality, anyone can wear any clothing, right? But at the end of the day, Dylan is a woman who they've chosen to be part of this campaign. So you're only complaining if you're transphobic. And there's been other similar responses to Nike as there have been for Bud Light. People burning their sports bras, as I mentioned, or throwing their clothing away and just refusing to ever buy things from Nike ever again. But to me, it honestly just looks like a handful of bigots given some free advertising to Nike, so cool. And Nike aren't the only sports brand. Moving away from Dylan sponsorships and Bud Light and Nike, Adidas also faced backlash for featuring a trans woman in one of their adverts. And Bud Light are not the only alcohol brand that has supported LGBT plus people and received backlash for it. Like, Jack Daniels has received the same kind of treatment, although one person didn't realise that Jack Daniels had supported the LGBT plus community in the past and basically was like, I'm gonna swap my Bud Light for Jack Daniels. Yeah, well done, good choice. And there are other brands that have been boycotted in the past as well because they supported LGBT plus people, including Gillette, who a few years ago featured a trans man in one of their adverts. It was very cute. He was shown how to shave by his dad. I loved that advert. I think I reacted to that advert on my channel when it first came out, but I do remember there was backlash to it as well. Why do people do these things? More recently, we've seen Hershey's being on the front end of a boycott, whatever, like people not liking them because they included a trans woman in their International Women's Day advert. I don't know if you saw it, I did a video on it. Hershey's did a really cool campaign where they showcased a bunch of amazing women for International Women's Day, and basically transphobes, because one trans woman was included in the advert, were like, oh my god, Hershey's is erasing women, how dare they, and completely ignored the other women involved in their campaign, thus erasing them and their part in it. Very strange. All in the name of transphobia. There's also a video of somebody going into a Lego store and not being happy to members of staff because Lego support the LGBT plus community. Oh, it's a lot, and these boycotts and people getting angry and destroying things, there's probably a big overlap between those people who are boycotting these brands and the people who call the LGBT plus community snowflakes and the ones that are too heavily involved in cancel culture. I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy going on there. Because at the minute, it's transphobes who are literally destroying things. Like destroying so many cans of beer. Going into a supermarket and just ripping them off the shelves and destroying them. Going over them with a steamroller, burning their clothing, all because what? A trans woman was on a can of beer and wore a pair of leggings. Like, talk about sensitive. So far, we're at Bud Light, Nike, Hershey's, Gillette, Adidas, Jack Daniels, and Lego. With just a very quick look at the places that transphobes and homophobes have boycotted recently because these brands have supported the LGBT plus community. There are a lot more though. A big part of this video is I wanted to make it clear to those people that want to boycott brands that support the LGBT plus community just how much work they have to do. Just how many brands they have to boycott and how many things they need to throw away or destroy or just say they'll never buy again, because there is a lot. Right. To start with, in the past few years, over 100 companies have spoken out in support of trans rights. These include Microsoft, Aviva, Sky, Expedia, Google, PlayStation, and obviously a lot more because there's over 100, but just to name a few of them. Other companies that have directly given back to the LGBT plus community in the form of things like Pride campaigns, where they donate a portion of the proceeds to LGBT plus charities and in other ways, include Converse, Harry's, Absolute, MAC Cosmetics, IKEA, Starbucks, Verizon, I don't know, we don't have this brand in the UK, I don't think. Under Armour, Lush, Bud Light, yes, the sponsoring Dylan Mulvaney was not the first to dabble into supporting LGBT plus people. Listerine, ASOS, Levi's, Target, which I've heard is a pretty big thing in America, Chipotle, Reebok, honestly they're really running out of sports brands they can buy from her, and again, many more. And something that we see very often as well is boycotting of companies or hatred towards companies who literally just change their logo for Pride. Like, it is the bare minimum thing that companies can do to show support for the LGBT plus community, and even doing that causes people to boycott them and hate on them. And so if people want to boycott any company that has ever shown any form of support for the LGBT plus community, including the very minimal support of a change of logo, oh my goodness, is the list long. Many of the companies I'm about to list have also actively supported the LGBT plus community, but have also changed their logos for Pride, so if that were the basis for a boycott, they would need to be boycotted. So this includes Apple, the NFL, Walmart, MasterCard, Barclays, so be careful with banking and getting credit cards. So, you know, the transphobes and homophobes should be careful when buying any kind of tech, using a credit card, buying a car, buying clothes, watching any kind of sports, because those are not just the only clothing, sports, techs, banks that have supported LGBT plus rights. Oh, and they can pretty much forget about using any form of social media except maybe Twitter right now. But seriously, if you want to boycott LGBT plus supportive companies and you want to get an Uber, no. What about Lyft? Nope, can't do that either. You want to listen to some music? How about Spotify? Nope. Apple Music? Nope. Oh, and Deezer, they sponsored me, a trans person, so have fun with that one. But what about taking a flight somewhere? You want to go on holiday? Well, you could forget about Virgin Atlantic, American Airlines, Qantas, British Airways, and many more. But seriously, I've not even scratched the surface of the companies that have shown some form of support for the LGBT plus community in recent years, and just listing out those ones has been really nice to do. It just shows how many are out there, even if they're doing the bare minimum, even if they don't always do the best job. There's companies out there that are visibly showing support, and some people don't like that. And in reality, these are all businesses with bottom lines, money that they want to be making, and they have decided, all the big wigs at these companies have decided that showing support, public support for the LGBT plus community is not going to drastically impact their bottom lines. If anything, it may be a good business move for them to show this kind of support. They've determined that this is in their best business interest to show support for the LGBT plus community. So really what they're saying is, transphobes, homophobes, we don't need your money. So honestly, go ahead, transphobes and homophobes, boycott all of the brands, any and all brands that have ever shown support for the LGBT plus community. You will soon be left with no social media, no tech, and just eating Chick-fil-A on your own. I don't know, with other transphobes. Have fun with that. It sounds great. But yeah, that's it for this video. I wanted to just talk about the ridiculousness of these boycotts, the hypocrisy coming out of people who do these boycotts, because they are the ones throwing around the term snowflake so much to other people, when in reality, they are the ones literally destroying stuff and wasting money and even breaking the law in some instances, all because a brand showed support for a trans woman or the LGBT plus community or just somebody they don't like. It's really, really strange behavior. I also wanted to turn it into a bit of a positive thing, to be like, hey, look at all these brands that have shown some form of support. And yeah, maybe it's not always perfect. Yeah, maybe it's not always super meaningful. But the people that are like, I don't want to support brands that support the LGBT plus community, they have a very, very, very long list to go through and a lot of boycotting to get on with. So yeah, I really hope they have fun with that. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, think about giving it a thumbs up and subscribing, but no pressure if you don't want to. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.